friends. I'm Deanna Pazis, and you're listening to the Well and Worthy Life podcast. I'm a certified health coach, and my goal is to help you become the best version of yourself. I've done a lot of things in my life before I found my way here. I've been a saleswoman, a fitness instructor, a business owner, and a mother to 3 boys, and now a grandmother to a beautiful baby girl. Now I'm just trying to live my best life, and I want to share my experience and strategies to help you do the same. That means talking about your physical health, mental health, spiritual health, and everything in between. Let's find the way to your best life together. Hey, welcome back to another episode of Well and Worthy Life. I'm so glad you are back. You know, guys, we've been skipping a week and I hate it. I hate skipping a week, but it's just been a crazy time, to be honest with you. I think y'all all can relate with this craziness that's happening in our world. And so anyway, I'm just not as consistent as I normally would be. But I'm so excited because I've got my friend Jen back with us. And if you have been with me for a while, you heard our episode on talking about going alcohol free. And so Jen is AKA Sober Sis. And if you're not following her on Instagram, on Facebook, you can find her there. But we had a great discussion on going alcohol free. And I actually did her 21-day reset back in June. And I loved it. It was really awesome. And now I'm in her AFL course, which is an alcohol-free lifestyle course, which I'm just learning so much. And I love this because I feel better than ever. And you know, having a healthy lifestyle is overall health, right? It's not just one particular thing, doing one particular thing, but the more you learn about something, the more it's like, kind of like, what's that saying? The more you know, the better you can be, or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, thank you, Jen, for joining me again. I'm so excited. Y'all, we are going to talk about the health benefits of the AFL lifestyle, right? So, Jen, thanks so much for being back here with me today.
Oh my gosh, you're welcome, sister. Now I'll call you my sober-minded sister. And I say sober-minded because it's so much about mindset. I'm so less focused on being sober. In fact, I know I'm AKA Sober Sis, but I don't even say I'm sober. I say I'm sober-minded. And I choose to live an alcohol-free lifestyle because it makes me feel better. I feel healthier. I just feel good.
And that's the thing. It's like we choose that. It's not like somebody says you have to do this. And it's not to say they were going to say we get to choose that. Just like we have choices in everything in life. And I love what you said, mindset. In fact, I've got a girl coming on next week and we're going to talk all about mindset because in my opinion, mindset's really where it all starts, no matter what you're doing.
I agree. I think it's everything because the way you frame something, what you know about something, I think it's empowering. I mean, I'm all about empowering women, men and women, but I primarily work with women, AKA Sober Sis. But I just think it's empowering to feel like you have choices. But a lot of times we don't know the science. We don't know the health risk and benefits behind alcohol because we're just seeing the memes all day, rosé all day and all the quarantinis and all the, it's so minimized in our society to just be so kind of cute, fun, normal that we kind of just don't really get into what's really going on inside our minds and our bodies when we put alcohol in it. And so it's kind of been an area of study of mine over these past 3 years. I did a deep dive, Dana. I did. I went in the deep end and really started peeling back the layer behind alcohol. And not in a fearful, fear-based way, but more like in a curiosity way. Like, let me figure this thing out. Why do I want it so bad? What is it at 5 o'clock that's making these cravings and these urges spike? And why is it that I tend to feel better after a drink, but then feel worse later on? Like, what in the world is going on?
Yeah, that's what's really interesting. Another thing I felt like that was so interesting is one of the things that we talked about, I think it was in the 21-day reset, is that where we, like when we first drank our first sip of alcohol, like, did anybody go, yes, I love that taste?
I'm so glad you brought that up because it's so funny. I made some notes of things that I wanted to make sure we talked about today. And that's where I started on my notes. Seriously, was remembering the first experience of our taste of alcohol, because it's really difficult to get people to drink for the first time and then like it. Most of the time, alcohol by itself, I mean, if you think about it, alcohol, i.e. ethanol, by itself tastes gross. It tastes nasty. I mean, if you look at something that's 80 proof, like Everclear or vodka, it literally tastes like lighter fluid. I always joke and I say that. I'm like, that could really like torch you on fire. But that's why we add all the mixers and sweeteners and flavors, because the taste of alcohol itself by itself, from a taste perspective, is not there. So it has to be acquired. You always hear, oh, I've got an acquired taste. It meant I needed all the mixers, sweeteners, sugars to make it palatable so that I could even drink it. And then what happens after that, the brain chemistry kicks in and you care less and less about what it tastes like because you're going for the effects of what it does. But at first, we're all just drinking kind of for the taste or socially to fit in, kind of what starts out. Oftentimes for me, it's just fun or curiosity or like, let me try this. And a lot of people kind of want to spit it out. They're like, oh, gross. I mean, think about your younger kids. If they ever snagged one of your beers or glasses of wine, they were like, ew, I can't believe adult people drink this. What's up? They don't get it at first because it hasn't connected to them yet in their experience.
It's funny because one drink I've never liked, and people are always so surprised about this, but I never have liked beer. Never. I mean, I've never drank a whole beer. I've taken a sip of a beer and I've been like, oh. So I drank wine and I drank gin and tonic used to be my alcohol of choice for a long time. Then it went to vodka tonic, then tequila because, tequila had less calories and, just straight tequila, right? Because that's might as well just go straight for it if we want that buzz, right? In fact, my husband has these friends that on July 4th, they have an RV, and you know how these RV parks, sometimes super nice, but they do all these things all the time. And they have this expensive tequila and they all get together and they're all taking shots of tequila all the time. And I've never had a shot of tequila. Well, I can't say that. In college I did. I'm sorry. I did. But a couple of July 4ths ago, I mean, he got us like drinking just tequila by itself. And I mean, what is that? This does not taste good.
No, but your brain, what's happening? I mean, from just a scientific point of view, and here's my disclaimer, I'm not a scientist. I'm not a medical professional. I'm a mom/retired gray area drinker. But the research is out there, people. Google it. I mean, the research is out there. There's so many great books out there today, too, and I'll be even quoting from a few. But there's just so many things out there that break it down, like, why is that? And one of the things, the bad taste, the grossness of it is completely counteracted with the good feelings that are real. I mean, they're real. The same part of our brain, the GABA center, you've heard of maybe GABA, G-A-B-A. I think it's said GABA, not GABA. I think it's kind of like tomato. It can go either way. So I'm going to say GABA, maybe GABA. But alcohol turns on in that same system. And so that's the same system that Valium works on. So that relaxing, ultra calming feeling after, say, a first glass of wine or that first vodka tonic, it's literally taking over that system in our body and chemically speaking, and sending a relaxation, chemically speaking, into us, which hits that dopamine center, which is the reward center. It's the motivation center that says, ding, 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 do this again. Bad taste, good feeling, bad taste, no problem. Do it again. And so literally it's that simple. I mean, we don't think of it, but that's like literally what's going on in our brain. Before we've got a mindset shift, our brain is just in full throttle operation. And here's a great time to say, I think drinking, for example, has such a stigma and a stereotype of being a moral failure or a really weak person if you just can't handle it. If you can't handle your drinking or you have a struggle with drinking more than you really want to. I'm here to say, no. not the case at all. It's not a moral failure. It's a literal chemical reaction going on in your body, and your brain is working. It is doing what it's wired and supposed to do. By you drinking and wanting more to drink, is your brain working? It's not that it's broken. And so knowing that makes me feel better as someone who certainly at times drank more than I wanted to, drank more than I intended to, or even when I didn't want to. I just saw myself as maybe weak-willed, undisciplined. Gosh, Jen, get it together. And no wonder I couldn't just get it together through willpower, because I was up against a brain system and chemicals that unless I understood that, I wouldn't be able to win. I cannot win. But knowing how to play the game, I can win.
So do you think some people are more prone to that than others?
I do. I do think that there are some genetic predispositions that, there's a big debate out there, is alcohol use dependency or disorder. They've taken alcoholic out of the books. This is just another factoid. Alcoholic or alcoholism is not seen anymore as in and of itself a disease. They've taken it out of the medical books, and they've now renamed people that struggle with alcohol in any capacity alcohol use disorder, or AUD, alcohol use dependency, because they see that it's on a spectrum. Just like many things are on a spectrum, so is alcohol. So it's, everyone kind of starts off very similar. Some people accelerate on that spectrum faster than others. And that can be due to just a lower production of a certain chemical that you need to counteract all the negative chemicals that are coming in your body from the alcohol. But alcohol itself is, in my opinion, and from the research I've done, which again, I'll qualify that and say, again, I'm not a doctor, but from the research I've done, I've read, Biology of Desire by Mark Lewis, Annie Grace's book, This Naked Mind, Professor David Nutt out of the UK, The Science of Alcohol and Health, would agree that it's not a disease, it causes diseases. Alcohol causes disease. But let's talk about what goes on in our body when we drink alcohol. What's actually happening?
Yes. What is actually happening?
What is happening? Well, so first off, we're drinking it, right? It goes down our throat. And in and of itself, it kind of is a burning, a tingling, oftentimes, especially a lot of the spirits and liquors, literally burn on down, so acidic, goes into our stomach and then goes into our small intestine. And it's there that the bloodstream takes it to our liver. And because alcohol itself is such a small molecule in our body, it goes into our system very, very fast. Unlike other drugs, like a lot of other drugs, and unlike some other drugs. And yes, I just said alcohol is a drug. I said it. Because in our society, we don't see it as a drug. But it is a drug in the sense that it is a mind-altering, toxic substance. Now, am I here to preach that alcohol is just so bad and you should never drink it? My goal is to bring mindfulness into the choice. So I'll say that again, too. I'm not like the alcohol police out there. I just think that being educated gives you the power to choose, and then you choose how alcohol fits in your life, or if it does at all. But basically, it goes in our bloodstream very, very quickly. And that's why we get that within minutes, that rush of relaxation. And a lot of those feel-good feelings are truly firing off, which completely reiterates the loop and the cycle that says, do this again. So basically, once it enters our liver, it's broken down into a chemical that basically, they haven't come out and said it quite yet, but is really a possible carcinogen. So now we've introduced our body to things that are so toxic that if we have too much of it, our body actually causes us to vomit, which saves our life. Which is why people, when they drink too much, it's actually your body's mechanism to keep you safe and alive. So, when we're in college or drink too much and we're just kind of, yikes, puking it out, for lack of a better word, chirping it, that's our body's way of saying, this is too much toxicity. I can't break it down this fast. In order to save your life, I'm going to have to get it out. I mean, so wow, whoa. I mean, that's an eye opener. And I think we've all probably been there. I think we've all been there. I think anyone who's ever experimented with alcohol or drank on a regular basis, and it can get the best of you and it can sneak in like that. And it is our body's way. So it's so tricky because everything starts out so fun. It starts out so relaxing.
That's the thing. It does. I can remember, especially in college, but even since college, like I would drink and it would give me a little bit more self-confidence.
Absolutely.
And then I'm like, I'm loving this. I feel more confident. I can talk to more people. And it seemed like it would be that one step too many, that it was like, the room would start spinning, and then, like you said, and I mean, if anybody's been sick from alcohol, throwing up from alcohol, they know they do not want to do that again.
Oh, it
and
is.
Why does it happen again? Then you're like,
the worst. It is the worst. And so that is our body's signal to us that it can't metabolize anymore. And because, and I mean, I'm really getting sciencey now, but I love the book Alcohol Explained by William Porter. If you go to his website, alcoholexplained.com, the first 5 chapters of his book are free. And he talks about how there's physical intoxication and mental intoxication and how the two are on separate tracks. And that's why you can be more intoxicated, basically drunk, than you realize you are. And that's where that disconnect happens, where we're like, I'm fine. I can totally have one more. You see people at a bar saying, I can drive home, and everyone around them is perceiving them in a very different way, saying, nope, I'll call you an Uber. Let me have your keys. They're not attaching. The perception is completely skewed. And it almost literally, and again, I'm talking about down the line, even in a drinking session. I'm not even talking about people that have an unhealthy relationship with alcohol long term. I'm even talking about in one drinking session. Our bodies can just only do so much. So one thing to consider from a health perspective is everything that goes up must come down. And there's something in all of our bodies called homeostasis. It's the way I believe God has designed our bodies, is to stay in balance. Balance of hormones, balance of energy, balance of sugar levels, blood sugar, balance of everything. And when we get out of balance, that's when our body starts to have to counteract kind of where we are overindulging, overstimulating, or underdoing. So alcohol, as it is a depressant, it comes in as a stimulant. It's high sugar. And so it comes into our bodies as a stimulant. And we're like, oh my gosh, this is that euphoric, but yet relaxation. So it's bringing in all these artificial stimulants. Our bodies cannot produce that much of a burst of, say, dopamine and endorphins and even adrenaline. Our bodies can't produce it at that rate. So when we introduce a foreign chemical like alcohol into our body, we shoot up. Then what happens is we got to come down. We can't maintain that. And that's why for me, when I was really in the drinking loop, I like to call it the detox, just a retox loop, kale and green juice by day, vino by night. That was me in a nutshell. Literally, I would juice kale and then have Pinot Grigio just 6 hours later, almost in the same amount. Like, how much kale can I get in? And then Pinot Grigio. I was breaking even, but it turns out that wasn't the case. Because what was happening is when I did drink that glass or 3 of wine, what was happening was my body got overstimulated. And so the dopamine went up, but there's this chemical called dynorphin. I can say that one. It's called dynorphin. And dynorphin is what kind of produces that anxiety that you feel as a drinker when you're kind of coming back down. When you're kind of coming back down to finding that balance place that our body really wants to reside in, that dynorphin has to offset all that dopamine and all of that overstimulation. And that's what causes us to feel anxiety, even a little bit of depression and kind of dread, like, oh no, I did it again. And that's why we wake up at 3 a.m. It's because the sedative effects of alcohol are about 4 hours. So after you've really maxed out your drinking capacity and you're tired, you pass out, maybe literally, maybe figuratively, but you're done.
Right.
You have about 4 hours of very unrestful, very fitful unrestorative sleep going on because you're basically numbed out. You're anesthetized. But when that wears off, that's when the 3 a.m. wake up call comes. The notorious one, if you're a drinker, you know what I'm talking about. It's the 3 a.m. ding, ding, wake up call. And that is when the rapid heartbeat, the adrenaline, and the anxiety kicks in an effort to bring everything back into balance. And so no fun to wake up and try to get your workout in, get kids to school, eat healthy, and do all the right things, only to fear doing it again, but not understanding why. And that's what's so unnerving and disappointing and defeating for us when we're trying to change this habit through willpower alone, and we make it this moral failure or this, I just need to be more disciplined. I just need to deprive myself to get results. It's in my opinion, the wrong angle to go. If we go the mindset route and understand what's going on chemically, then we can start to be motivated to get to the benefits of being alcohol free versus just trying to avoid alcohol. I'm actually shooting for what are the benefits of being alcohol free.
Exactly. And there's so many benefits. But let me ask you one thing. So, some of my clients with Fast Away, they come in and we say on Saturday, that's kind of like you can have a treat that day if it fits in your macros. And so some people use alcohol for their treat that day. And let's just say they don't have a problem, but it still takes a while, right, to get it out of your system, right?
Right.
And I thought I remembered you saying it could be a week. I mean, like it depends, right?
Right. Yep. That's kind of what the science is saying out there, that it takes anywhere from 7 to 10 days to get alcohol and the effects of alcohol, kind of that ripple effect, out of your body. And so what I see a lot of women do is not drink during the week, drink on the weekend, maybe even binge drink on the weekend, drink more than they really would have if they were even drinking on a daily basis. That's when I think comparing our drinking to other people's drinking is not a great idea, because some people are like, I don't have a problem. I just drink 3 glasses of wine every night. And then other people are like, well, I don't have a problem. I don't drink every day, but they'll drink 3 or 4 drinks, back to back in a session of 2-3 hours on a weekend or more, break open that second bottle or go for that next drink that is definitely the one that pushed them over the edge. But they would think, well, I don't have a problem because I'm not drinking every day. I didn't drink on Monday. I'm only drinking on the weekends. And so you really got to look at it from a health perspective as to how you personally feel. Like what's working for you? And whether it's daily drinking or binge drinking, which is more than 4 drinks in a session per woman, that is considered binge drinking. In one day, in one drinking session, more than 4 drinks. It's over 7 drinks in a week. So, I mean, again, who kind of, honestly, it's pretty easy to qualify is what I'm saying.
Right.
Either way. But yeah, so what's happening is when we don't drink during the week and then we reward ourselves with alcohol, and it is hard to have just one. Again, it's not the nature of the substance to have just one. It creates a thirst for itself. Right? So if people understood that, including when I had that aha moment, I was like, oh, it's actually the drink itself that's creating a little bit of that withdrawal symptoms that makes me think, another one would be a good idea. And then that second drink says another one would be a good idea.
It would be even better.
Yeah. So the first one's ordering the second one, and the second one's ordering the third one. And beyond. So to know that is powerful, because I think when people don't drink during the week, they reward on the weekend, they're still staying in the withdrawal cycle. If it takes 7 to 10 days to get it out of your system, most people, if they're not drinking during the week, they've kind of got an itch that they're ready to scratch by the weekend. And that's withdrawal. That is a withdrawal symptom. I'm not talking about alcoholics here. I'm not talking about people who are physically dependent. I'm talking about that physical element of withdrawal, which, really a hangover is, we can talk about the science of a hangover all day long. I have so much research on that. It's actually pretty fascinating, because we typically, when you think of alcohol withdrawal, you think of the end of the line spectrum, someone with the shakes, that can't function, pouring vodka in their cornflakes in the morning just to start their day, because, that's like really the end of the line. If we're talking about a spectrum 1 to 10, hello, that's a 10. But I'm talking to women who are a 5. What are you going to do? Well, it's a hangover in that case is really withdrawal symptoms. It's fatigue. That's the number one symptom of a hangover is fatigue and tiredness. So again, that drop in blood sugar, you've got the dynorphin, everything's kind of pulling you down because the drinks kind of propped you up in a way.
But plus, you've got to be tired too because you didn't
sleep.
You didn't get your REM sleep, right? And people think they need their alcohol at night so that they can sleep. But what they don't realize is that the sleep they're getting is not true sleep.
Exactly. Yes. So I'm so glad you brought that up. You're right. Yeah. So defenses are kind of down. When you're fatigued and overwhelmed and tired and stressed out, and maybe your thyroid and your adrenals and everything's just maxed out. Wow. And I mean, you would know better than me. This is your expertise of when people really go for that sugar or carbs.
That's what I was going to say. That's when they find themselves standing there at that pantry.
Yeah.
And they just keep on going back and back and back.
Yeah.
And they're not hungry. They're not. It's just this, when you are tired, when you are stressed, that's when people emotional eat.
Yep.
Drink.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Loneliness. I mean, these are huge factors of drinking and eating and just mindlessness. That's kind of why that's a lot of the times why I was drinking at home on my back patio, listening to my music, minding my own business, because I was bored, and drinking became kind of almost this leisurely activity that I did see as a reward. I did see it as my time, me time. And I didn't realize that I was actually sabotaging myself, my health, my workout. I mean, I do hot yoga. So, there I am. Bikram class or any other. And it is hard work. And then I would come home and reward myself with something that my body was so taxed by. Alcohol is just so taxing. There's a heavy price to be paid. I guess that's why they call it taxing.
Alcohol dehydrates your body, right?
On a cellular level, yes.
Yes, yeah. And so then you go to do hot yoga, and I don't even know how you could do hot yoga, to be perfectly honest with you. I have done it before after drinking, and it's not a pretty picture. And, when you were talking about, too, I have to say this, back up just a minute, when you were talking about being on your back porch, having the music, a lot of times, now you can do that and have a fun drink, and it doesn't have to be alcohol, and can be the same thing. But for some reason, we think we have to have the alcohol because that's what makes us a grown-up.
Right. And you can say thank you to the advertising and the marketing and messaging behind the alcohol industry, which is second in the world to automobiles. They are full throttle, full steam ahead. 87% of adults drink alcohol on a somewhat regular basis. Maybe not all the time, maybe not every day, but it's definitely a huge market. And so the societal norm, we've seen through this recent pandemic that it was deemed essential when everything else was closed down. You had liquor stores open and deemed as essential, which I find very interesting. But also it's an incredible industry. And when people are anxious, stressed, and it's just so available, it's just right there. And that's why I think feeling empowered by having mindset shift and the right support makes you feel not alienated or alone or broken, but instead almost like awake to your options and what's really going on.
I think the great thing about that 21-day reset is you make that decision. You're like, I'm going to do this. And then it kind of alleviates the choice. Like, you don't have to worry about the choice.
Yeah, we talk about that in AFL, this first week of AFL that you're in. We talk about decision fatigue and how that really kicks in when you're constantly moderating drinking, which in and of itself does not really want to be moderated. The substance of alcohol really wants more often, more of it, because it is chemically speaking, something that is just really hardwired in us to chase. And so I think knowing that you can make a decision, and maybe it's not forever or always. I've been living this alcohol-free lifestyle for 3 years now, but I still don't say always or forever. I never say I'm never drinking again. I really mindfully make my choices, but I've already decided that alcohol doesn't bring me any benefits, like none, like zero.
Exactly. I think, mindfulness, I think that is what I've learned over my health journey. No matter what I'm doing to try and be more healthy, it is like being more mindful of how something makes me feel, whether it be what I eat, what I drink, what I'm doing,
what you're thinking.
Yeah. All of these things. And, the more mindful I become and the more aware I become, the better my choices are.
Right. Well, and knowing that you can kind of surf that urge, that's a tool we talk a lot about in SoberSys, ways to surf an urge, and using tools like playing the movie forward so that we don't have to. And that applies, I'm sure, very much so to eating and working out and fitness and overall holistic health, which I know both you and I are very much about, this holistic, wholehearted. Let's look at the whole picture instead of just compartmentalizing sections of our life. Let's make it all try to align and fit together. And so that mindfulness piece brings us into that present moment. And, when I'm present versus forecasting the future, causing me anxiety, or living in the past, which can bring me more of a depression and more of a sadness or that low feeling. But if I'm living in the moment, I can see what's really going on. And being sober-minded, being aware, alert, awake, and present in my own life in that moment gives me access to the parts of me that can line up with those good intentions that I had that morning, which I used to be completely disconnected from by 5. 10 a.m., different person. 5 p.m., different person. And so I'm trying to now live a life that I've got a consistency with and almost a predictability. I know that my sober mind, being mindful and being present, is going to allow me what I need later tonight, for example, on a Friday night when we're doing this interview, to make the choices that I want to make because I've practiced. I've been practicing this. Everything's a practice.
Oh, isn't that the truth? No matter what we do, we have to practice. And that's the only way we get better at something.
Yeah. So I've actually practiced being alcohol free. And at first it was very uncomfortable. It was difficult. It was a struggle socially, mentally, emotionally, physically, all of it. It was a struggle because it was something new. It's just like I was talking about yoga just a minute ago. We don't call it yoga perfect. We call it our yoga practice. Because I can go to my yoga mat today and do something very different than I did yesterday because I'm different today. And so I think having the grace and compassion for ourselves to just show up and go, you know what? I don't know what today holds. I'm going to just do my best to be present in it. And some days are going to be better than others. And that's okay. Instead of going, well, today has been horrible, I'm going to just drink it away and try to erase it. It's just like, there's just some days are better than others, and that's life. And I think practicing being mindful, the mindfulness aspect takes practice, and being alcohol-free does, because now I've built so many experiences for myself that I can go back and rely on to believe I don't need it to have fun. How do I know that? Well, 3 years is a lot of practice of having fun without it. Right. And so sleep, just to kind of conclude the benefits, I felt like we may have to do this again.
Yeah, I know.
Just to focus on just the benefits, because I did talk about a lot of the negative that brings us to the point of that habit. But the benefits, in summary, I would say are definitely, we'll start with sleep, because that's going to dictate everything the next day.
Exactly. Yeah.
That restorative quality REM sleep, even one drink disturbs. So again, I'm not talking about someone that's plowing through a bottle of wine. You're going to get bad sleep. I'm talking about even one drink is going to minimize the quality of sleep that you have. Is it going to totally disrupt your sleep forever? No. But for that night, it's not going to be as good as it would have been. And so sleep. And when you wake up rested, then you're going to wake up with more energy. When you have more energy, then you're going to have more ability to follow through with the decisions that you're making. Obviously, weight gain. Hello. You and I talked about this
Hello.
Hello. We know that when your body is burning alcohol, when your body is detoxifying itself, we've already called it a toxin because it is. Our body shuts down everything else when alcohol's in it. Fat burning, again, which is your expertise. It shuts down fat burning when we've got alcohol because it cannot do both. It cannot burn through the fat and metabolize this toxin because that's the number one goal, is to get rid of that alcohol. It trumps everything else that you put in your body. All the steak dinner with the red wine, that steak's going to sit there for a minute until that red wine gets out of there. And it's got all night just to work on the alcohol, but it's not working on any of the food, our metabolism. So your metabolism speeds up when it's not wasting its bandwidth, its energies on the alcohol. And I'll tell you what, when I stopped drinking, the weight didn't just immediately fall off because my sugar cravings went up. So I had to navigate how to handle those sugar cravings because I was basically taking so much sugar away from not having my nightly vino. But over time, I found alternatives. I started doing my 3 p.m. protein, little tricks of the trade that kind of kept my blood sugar level so that at 5 o'clock, I didn't go nuts. And I started figuring that out. And then the weight did come off. So I would say since I've stopped drinking alcohol, I've been able to shed and maintain probably 15 pounds off.
Yeah.
Which is that 5 to 15 that we're all trying to get off. It's that last little bit. It wasn't a crazy amount. It was just that, the muffin top, the pooch. We all know what I'm talking about. Yeah. That was the wine. That was the drinking. That was the beer. I was a beer drinker because I'm down here in Texas and that's what we do down here. We mow our lawn and then we drink a beer. That's what we do. We do yard work and then we have a beer. We plant flowers. We drink a beer. Everything is very associated with beer down here.
That's funny. That is funny.
But yeah, and skin. Oh my gosh. So much better skin. And, oh man, less inflammation. Alcohol causes so much inflammation in our joints and in our body.
You can tell somebody when somebody's been drinking a lot, they're all puffy and their face is red and splotchy,
For sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, it really does. I'll tell you, and I've told you a little bit about why I stopped. I think the more I learned I think the thing that really got me at first was that I was going to quit burning fat. I'm like, here I am working so hard to burn fat. Now, why would I do anything to make it stop? That just doesn't really add up to me. I'm just really just trying to think logically here.
Right.
And then the more research I did I saw Jennifer Lopez. I'm like, so wonder what she eats. She's 50. Wonder what she eats and drinks. Well, guess what? She's alcohol free. Well, hello. It makes sense that she's alcohol free.
Right. There's no way she could have her stellar body to do her Super Bowl, performance and just the stamina that it takes.
The energy. Yeah.
There's just no way. I really found myself as well at a crossroads because I'm just shy of 50. I'm just turned 49. And I knew I was at a crossroads where my metabolism was slowing down. My hormones, they're changing. So I knew that, golly, if I wanted to enter 50 as a new decade different than I did 40, I was going to have to make some changes. And to be honest, it's taken time. Here I am, a year shy, and I've been working on this since I was 46. And I will say I'm glad I've given it that amount of time to really keep finding. And I'm still going. I'm still growing. I'm still learning on better ways to eat and take care of myself.
I think it's a constant journey, Jen. I really think it's just a constant thing. As I've been on my health journey and, I feel like I've always been into exercise like you have and, eating pretty good. But I tell you, the more I learn and that shifting that mindset and being more mindful and being present, and even on this alcohol-free journey, I've learned so much. It's like, I'm not going to say I'm never going back either, that I'm never going to have any alcohol. But I just don't see the benefits of it. And for me, I really believe it really was never about the taste for me. It was really about taking the edge off for me.
Right.
And, some people I have heard, because I've talked to a lot of people now about being alcohol free, and I'll hear some people go, well, I like my taste of wine. I like that wine and I miss that, or I don't want to give that up. So it was never that for me. So it was really just, and I think too, that experience. So like now, one of the things I've learned from you is like putting my drink in a pretty glass.
Oh, yeah.
That just
So
makes a
important.
difference. To pour my kombucha in a beautiful wine glass.
Yeah.
Sitting down and just like relaxing.
Right, because your mindset is now I am doing something good for my body, which really is relaxing versus sitting there going, I know this isn't great, but I'm going to call it a reward. When really we know when we're sitting there drinking something. I mean, I've gotten all into these apple cider vinegar products, a lot of the shrubs out there. I mean, I've gotten into stuff where I'm not even breaking even anymore. I'm actually using that cocktail hour, that happy hour, to become a happier hour, which is a great book, by the way, The Happier Hour. It's a great one. But now I'm using that time to actually help myself from an immune perspective. Immunity, I mean, hello, that's really something we need to be focusing on right now.
Exactly.
Instead of putting a toxin in my body that's going to give me all these negatives, I'm going to actually start looking at proactive ways, but using the pretty glass, being festive, celebrating the end of a week by truly rewarding myself with something good. And then waking up, I always tell people I plan my Friday nights based on the Saturday morning I want to have. So they're not separate. People think, oh, I'm just going to party on Friday night and then I'll just kind of chill out on Saturday and make up for it another time. That Friday night's taking that Saturday morning away. Oftentimes, or at least causing it to be a little slower. Maybe not taking it away, but for me, I was like, yeah, maybe I'll get to that noon class. And so it used to rob my mornings. And again, that opportunity cost of drinking was too high for me.
Yeah. I mean, I totally agree with you. I think that there's just so many health benefits. It's just like, I don't know why we would even go back, but I still like that, being able to say that if I want to drink, I'll have a drink. I get to make that decision. But I'm so glad we talked about all these health benefits, because that's the thing. And if you guys are thinking, well, I'm wondering, the best place to start would be that 21-day reset, don't you think?
Yep. I mean, it's $97, one-time fee. It's a 3-week kind of almost like experiment with yourself. You're doing your own research. This is your body, your experience. Everyone's is very unique. So I think the thing about Sober Sis and the program I'm offering is it's not a cookie cutter, one size fits all. It's come on in. You can talk about your relationship with alcohol here without having to land on this big statement. You can just kind of come in and say, I'm going to see what I can learn versus trying to quit.
I love that.
I think that's really important to just come in with that open stance, that curiosity. We don't look at people, drinking during the reset as a big slip up and setback. It's really more feedback. And how is that working for you? And how did you feel? And let's talk about it in light of this new information that we're getting. And so I think it just gives people a lot of room and space to explore, but in a safe place where they can really kind of say what they're thinking out loud with other women that do get it, that won't judge or shame or go, oh, I don't know about that. No, we do.
Well, and I'll tell you, do so well with the Marco Polo groups and connecting the women. And it's such a wonderful group because the people are really real. They're very authentic.
Absolutely.
You can really share in those groups. And I I love that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
But gosh, Jen, you and I could talk forever and ever about everything health and everything. Oh gosh, I cannot wait till the day when this COVID thing's over with, so we can.
Oh, I know. I can't wait to meet you in person. I feel like I already know you so well. And,
I know.
I'm so glad that you're a part of our tribe, and I'm excited to get to know women in your tribe, and just I think we're really going for the same thing here, which is that holistic health, living our best life, being sober-minded, being present in our own lives. And, how everything else fits into that is what's unique about the journey.
Yeah. That is so right. So right. Well, thank you, Jen, so much. And hey, y'all, y'all have got to follow Jen on Instagram because she introduces all these random drinks that I have never even heard about. So I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get one of those. I got to get this.
I do at least maybe one a day, at least. And so, if you're following my story, I'm going to walk you through the grocery store. I'm going to show you new mocktails. You might even get to see my Golden Doodle Franklin.
So cute. And I hope y'all didn't hear, my dogs are laying right here beside me just snoring away. Like, oh my gosh, they are just, I have two, what are they called? Cavaliers, and they snore like crazy. And I'm like, can y'all please be quiet over here? But anyway, Jen, thank you so much, y'all. We will have the link in the show notes for the 21-day reset. And then after that, after you go through the 21-day reset, there's an option to go into the AFL course, which is really awesome. I'm in it right now and I'm loving it. I'm loving being on this journey and learning more. I love to learn. I'm taking a 6-month hormone course right now. I'm learning all about hormones and menopause and all these wonderful things that we all want to know everything about, right? Because, well, I'm 54, so Jen,
I can learn a few things for you in that department, for sure.
But anyway, it's so awesome to talk to you. And I know we're going to have lots more podcasts that we're going to talk more about, but thank you again for joining me.
You're very welcome.
Y'all, thanks again for joining us. If you like this podcast or you know somebody that you think needs to hear it, please share it on social media, on Instagram, and tag me, Well and Worthy Life, and Jen, Sober Sis, because we want to hear from you. We want to know what you like. Maybe if you have any questions, shoot us a DM. Send us some questions if you have something that you want us to talk about. We'd love to talk to you more about this. And while you're there, go ahead and subscribe to the podcast and rate and review. Thanks, y'all. Have an awesome day.